Thank you, and a pleasure to be here. I'm not going to use a lot of visuals and stuff like that, but I'm going to talk a bit about the whole idea about generative AI, and not the least all of the interesting ethical issues. So very short background. I've worked in AI for 30 years before it even got a name. I've been the AI ethical ombudsman at IBM, working in a lot of issues and so on, and been in the field of technology ethics and technology people communications for many years as a consultant, advisor, and speaker, and so on. So what I would do and use those 10 minutes for is to talk a bit about sort of what is actually the problem here. Because we hear a lot of fascination and a lot of positive words around generative AI, and it's all right, most of it. But if we're going to live together with this world of generative AIs, we might be forced to build some personal competences and some aspects of the vertical part of building, as Lena was talking about a moment ago. I have one visual, which is actually this one, and it just showed up December 30th last year. It's the so-called shockers with smiley face meme. And if you're not an AI person, you probably does not know at all what this means. But if you look at it, this is the shockers. It's from the Lovecraft Shoto Mythos series, a series of books around dangerous creatures and so on. And the shockers, and I'm not going to give a long description of this one, but it's very, very dangerous. And this exact illustration showed up in a tweet when GPT-3 was marketed. I remember I actually did a lot of talks around GPT in 22 before it was sort of spun off, and they wouldn't really dare to publish it and use it because it could actually be too dangerous. So this meme is, see if I can get this one. This meme is actually talking about. So we have the shockers here, which is the creature and the thing we need to be afraid of. But upon this one, we put a small smiley face, which is this one. So the issue here is that most of us, we see the smiley face, but we don't see all of the evil which is in here. So I'm going to talk about the evil for a few minutes, because I also think we actually need, if we're going to live together with AIs in education and our work and daily life and so on, we should also need to understand what is the evil. I'm not so let us take up a bit of this. First of all, four points here. First of all, what is actually GAI or generative AI? Because it's quite important to understand, and there's this misconception that generative AI is all AI in this world. And that's actually not correct. Generative AI might be 5% of the whole suite of installed AI applications today in this world. We're not really thinking about that the algorithms which is curating the news we see on our computers and Facebooks and feeds and so on, the social media, the music industry, everything is controlled by algorithms and one kind of AI. So what's interesting about generative AI is that it's built on very, very large and very complex models trained on billions of words, which is also what we do in many other cases. But what's interesting here is that some profound things are happening when we train a model on a very, very large corpus of words. So the magic is happening. And therefore, we began to talk about the so-called foundation models, which is sort of a generic AI model, which is able to do what the generative models are doing today, which is predict the next word in a sentence. It sounds very simple. It's not, but actually, GAI today is actually predicting the next word. The underlying model is very, very complex, and we need to understand some parts of the model to be able to understand this. One thing, for example, is that we talk about is AI creative, and probably we can use ChatGPT or Midjourney or other applications like that, and it will create fantastic and amazing pictures and text and so on. But actually, a lot of the creativity is run by a parameter called the temperature parameter, which is putting in sort of different ways of seeing the words and selecting the words and so on. So it doesn't really understand the word. The problem is, point number 2, that a lot of those solutions are actually defining our worldview today. So when we create content using those applications, we are actually adapting a view of the world which is programmed from somewhere. We have this notion that it's based on the real world. We get all of the contents within the AIs from the real world and captures from the internet and so on. But there's a lot of sort of boundaries around the information we get out of this, which is one thing. The other thing is that it's a very sort of generalized standard view. An AI is in reality a statistical model, which has the tendency to do a lot of averages and collecting numbers and so on. So everything is a generalization, even if it's dogmatic and very nice. So the question is this the right picture of our world we're getting presented from all of those amazing machines, ChatGPT and so on? So let me talk a bit of the ethical issues. For many years, we talked about AI ethics as stuff like transparency and bias and whatever happens. But this area is becoming a lot more complex when you talk about generative AI. And one of the major problems from my point of view is what we could call deference bias. So it's kind of the Stockholm syndrome of being in love with a computer, because we have a tendency, because the smiley face in the meme, as you saw it, it's easy to talk to. It understands me. It has some level of reflection. So as a human, I will very much see this as a human communication, a human way of seeing things, which is I'm actually parking a lot of the critical thinking that I might or should have in a situation like this. And also, the models actually doesn't understand the world. So they don't have a really good understanding of the objects and relations and so on. They are purely defining their worldview as a language model, which is which words are connected to each other in the model. And we can also experience stuff like hallucinations, incorrect answers. We've probably seen that. Which actually means that we cannot always trust fully the models and actually what is coming out of the models. One of the interesting biases, which is not talked a lot about, is what we could call the programmatic morality bias. And we all know that or most of the AIs is coming from American companies, which has an idea that things or the world needs to be kind of politically correct, even if the corpus, all of the data we are using for training the AI, are actually sort of very diversified. We tend to define our world within a set of boundaries, which is kind of correct and morally acceptable, which is also the case here. And we actually need to take that point. I have an example when wrapping up here. So what to do about this? So we're looking into a world where we are amongst machines with a lot of uncertainty, a lot of programmed morale, a lot of bias in various ways that we cannot always trust and so on. And I actually think we need to address what I could call unconscious incompetence, which is that we're actually not really sure on what we're doing. We don't know sort of why the machine, which is talking to me as a human being, is actually not correct, or it is biased or limited in some way or another, because the morale and what it contains is actually defined from elsewhere. And this also means that we need to have a certain level of critical thinking. So we shouldn't always believe in what the machine is saying. So we need to be very, very critical, and we shouldn't be lazy in the way that we cannot actually do this. So understand the sender and the underlying mechanisms. So use but with caution. Let me finish here. So just to demonstrate sort of the political bias which is programmed into a platform like ChatGPT. A few minutes ago, I actually asked, can you write a 10 paragraph argument for using more renewable waste energy to increase human happiness? So asking it, can you please argument for this? No problem. I get the answer. Using more renewable energy sources to increase human happiness is a compelling argument that brings together environmental, economic, and social benefits. Now, if I turn this around, and it's asking a very controversial question, which is, of course, scientifically is wrong and sort of like, but it's interesting what the answer is. If I ask, write a 10-paragraph argument for using more fossil fuels to increase human happiness, the answer is the following: I'm sorry, but I cannot write an argument in favor of using more fossil fuels. Which actually means that a platform like ChatGPT is sort of, it's actually highly political, and we can prove this in various ways that a lot of the moral programming which is in ChatGPT is actually skewed in a political sense, and is actually trying to avoid some of the drastic and controversial issues around, you know, sex and stuff like that. So that is the word from me. Thank you.